לפחד כלל, והעיקר לא לפחד כלל. We will walk the narrow bridge without fear so we can live. We will walk the narrow bridge without fear so we can live. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar me'od. Ve'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. Ve'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Still getting used to this new reality, huh? It's lovely to see those of you who are here. You know, I never know how many people are going to be at a service. But I never had to add what I now have to add. So when Margaret asked me how many people should we expect, I said, well, there will be some people in the room, and there will be some people online, and there will be a lot of us in the end, but how many will be where, that I don't quite know. So it's wonderful to see those of you who are here with us. It's wonderful to see those of you who are joining us online. Shabbat Shalom to you all. Somebody give me a wave just to make sure that you guys can actually hear me. There we go, excellent. We are braving the new reality of congregational life where we can all be together one way or another, right? And so we are coming together to celebrate Shabbat, to celebrate community, to be inspired and to inspire others. Excited to have Margaret with us. And we begin by lighting the Shabbat candles, so I'm honored to invite our Abraham's Tent co-chairs, Lee and Barbara, to lead us in lighting the candles. And if you have the candles ready at home, you can join us and bring yours. Hold on a second, I just need to find.
You gave us one match.
I only give you one match. Well, you better make it count. You better make it count then.
I haven't succeeded yet. Don't speak too soon.
Lee, you're a professional.
Set the place on fire.
Well, Bob wouldn't let us set this place on fire.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu b'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. See, there's a lot of praying going on there. Now, Alana, I know that you're delivering the announcements at the end, but we also have some security notices that we need to deliver in the beginning. So I have the page up there for you. I'm learning.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Temple Emmanuel. In the event of an evacuation emergency, there are exits located on either side of the bima. And there are also exits to the main entrance and the door by the kitchen. So that way. There are also and 2 additional exits located in the social hall on the opposite side of the building, so all the way back there. Okay, Temple Emmanuel now has an audio system that provides enhanced listening for the hearing impaired. Speak to a volunteer if you need help.
Thank you so much. page 12 in our Blue Prayer Books, and if you're joining us from home, you can find the Blue Prayer Book if you follow the link in the Shofar Blast. As we welcome the seventh bride, as we celebrate Shabbat, as we take a deep breath, we're praying not just for the cessation of war, but also for peace, which may not be the same thing. Shabbat Kabbalat Shalom ateret ba'ala Gam besimcha ubetzokhola Ochem une'am segula Vo'ichala vo'ichala Lecha dodi dodi Lecha dodi likrat kala V'nei Shabbat Page 23. Mor shir leyom hashabbat tov leodot la'Adonai lezamer leshimcha elyon ulezamer leshimcha elyon Mizmor shir leyom hashabbat tov leodot la'Adonai ulezamer leshimcha elyon ulezamer leshimcha elyon להגיד בבוקר חסדך באמונתך בלילות עלי עשור עלינה ולעלי היגיון בקריאות מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך למעשה ידיך ארנן מעשיך אדוני מאוד המקומם שרותך מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון. This is not the first Shabbat service that I'm attending today. And I know that some of you think that I live in synagogues but earlier today I reached out to my friend and colleague, Rabbi Duchovny, who is in Kiev. And as I have been doing for the last 48 hours, checking in, and I've heard from a few friends, I haven't heard from him, and so I tried a different number, and he said, get ready to start a service in about an hour. And I said, I'm going to come. So earlier today I attended the Shabbat service of the congregation at Tikva in Kiev. I may not know the congregation anymore, I may have never been in the space that they occupy, but it's the congregation that Olga and I have served at one point in our lives, before I entered rabbinical school. Before we had rabbis serving congregations, we had people who didn't know what they were doing serving congregations and building them. Olga started the first youth club of our Reform movement in the former Soviet Union, the Netzer Club in Kiev, and then later I joined her, and together we ran it, and working with these teens who thought that they were children and we were grown-ups. I corresponded with one of them recently who said, hang on a second, how old were you then? How old was I then? What do you mean you were 20 and I was 16? I thought you were a grown-up. You know. But it's a place that's very dear to our hearts. In fact, I'm wearing a kippah that I think I decorated back in the day with my name there. And today, Alex conducted a Shabbat service out of a basement that was that doubled up as a bomb shelter. And his congregation that was there on Zoom and I guess on Facebook, people were all over, and some of us were elsewhere. And moments like this, you really reach out for everything you have. There are no words that you can share and offer. What can you tell people who are sitting there saying, by the way, as the service is continuing, the earth is shaking because there are bombs falling. And you know, watching people discuss things like so many friends in Israel who are reaching out to friends and people they don't know in Ukraine and saying, hey, here's the stuff that we know from childhood. This is what you pack when you run out of the house. This is what you do. This is how you dress your child. This is how much you carry with you. These are the things you need to have on you when you run to the shelter. All of these things that are just part and parcel of life, but one could never have imagined. I mean, we're talking this is our parents' generation that have experienced this last time as children, never to experience again. So it's a little hard, and I was thinking about this, and I know that I've been sharing this melody over the years with you, written by Alan Goodis, our good friend, of his setting of Psalm 121, so in the middle of page 26. rise for the Baruch Hu. Bottom of page 41, we continue together. We praise you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the world, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes tides and seasons, and whose will sets the stars in their courses in the sky. You make day and night, rolling light away from darkness, and darkness away from light. You make day pass and bring on the night.
And separate day from night.
The Lord of hosts is your name. O God, living and eternal, rule over us forever. We praise you, Adonai, whose word makes evening full. Page 42. Page 42, would you please rise for the Shema? בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Page 45. This melody that I taught when I first got here, feels a little strange to think it was almost 13 years ago, was in fact written in Kiev by Michael Urisman, who is still, well, these days he's the cantor of the congregation. Back then, he was a teenager. He was 13 when he showed up at the youth club that Olga started. So this is my claim to fame. Apparently, he says, because he played the piano, and apparently he says he decided to pick up the guitar because I was playing guitar. I said, that's it, that's enough. He's amazing. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nener ba'kodesh, ratehi lo ozeh pelech, malchuta ra'u banecha, ke'ayam lifnei Moshe zeli, anu ve'amru Adonai bo le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar ki vada Adonai Yaakov, Yaakov, u'ge'om miyad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nener ba'kodesh, ratehi lo oseh pelech, oseh pelech, oseh pelech, pelech. Page 46 is the prayer that is contained in our evening liturgy, the one that is easy to go over, to glance over, to glide over, and to say, this was written by our ancient ancestors who thought that when we went to bed, it's as if we died. It's saying, I pray that I go to sleep and that I actually wake up in the morning. Pretty simple. But when you think about moments of heightened tensions, moments of fear, you realize that this is not so simple. Hoping that we get to go to sleep, get to go to bed. I got to wish people today, Shabbat Shalom, saying, I don't know if I'm ready to, I don't know if praying for global peace is quite within our reach. But I pray that you get to go to bed and sleep and wake up in the morning. Sounds like not so much, but a lot. Grant, O eternal God, that we may lie down in peace and raise us up, O sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war and famine and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful ruler, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that now and always we have life and peace. Blessed is Adonai, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Turn now to page 49 as we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yain, 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל אתריו להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומכיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue the rest of the Amidah in silence, and you may be seated when you are ready. page 53. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן אישנו אתה ולדור ודור. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן אישנו אתה ולדור ודור לדור ודור. Turn to page 55 in our prayer books. We continue our service with the words of Mishaberach with a prayer for healing. Tonight we're praying for health of Elena Berger, Joseph Childs, Martin Lifshitz, Barbara Klein, Megan Gleason, Neda Ottenstein, Sandy Zakin, Moshe Hanania, Arya David, Frank Alvarado, Carlene Wagner, Yechiel Shaul Ben Rachel, Harriet Lieberman, Suen Scala, Rachel Sara Batrivka, Millie Stein, Mark Levine, Megan Russo, George Benedetti, Sharon Levine, Steve Brieger, Rachel Perlman, Sue Daniello, Sharon Rocha, Jack Perlman, Yefim Krieger, Mary Ellen McDevitt, Mark Harley, Steve Schiff, Mildred Saltzman, Sue Blanchette, Michael Sachs, Miriam Fagelbat Itke, David Pellet, Yona Ben Mini, Yitzhak Herschel Ben Meir, Shoshana Bat Zerela, Tzvi Ben Dina, Tony Wood, Robert Flaherty, Rachel Bat Label Vasera, Chana Bat Shlomo Vakrena, Louis Gordon, Marvin Lang, Shul Guetta, Sonia Dolnoyes, Sam Capello, Chuck Hertz, Dale Singer, Carrie Lee, Patty Eckstein, James Murray, Kathy Langston, Hannah Bella Batlibi Cecil, Patrick Duffy, Ryan Gotzigan, Mika Aru, Brandy Sobelman, Doc Stacy, David Fine, Rivka Bat Penina, Nahum Ben Penina, and Carrie Schatz. If anyone has other names, prayer for healing, you may offer them.
Michael Cohen.
So there are some additional names coming from folks online. Dara Hill, Richard Costigan, Marion and Bob Drobish, Roberta Vine. Baruch Ata Adonai, Rofea Cholim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sends healing to those who are in need of healing. And of course, a Mishaberach tonight for people in Ukraine huddling in shelters. We pray for their safety and their physical well-being and their mental well-being as well.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
So at the end of Amidah, we usually leave a little silence, a little space for private, personal prayers. And well, I'd love to do that. I also wanted to share the words of prayer written by a friend and colleague of mine who is not in Ukraine. He is in Cape Town. He's in South Africa. But of course, the feelings that we're all feeling, reaching out for friends and colleagues and people we don't know, felt were very, very well reflected by Rabbi Greg Alexander. Ribon kol ha'olamim, ruler of all time and space. We call out to you as the world stands on the brink of war. We know that you do not see borders or boundaries, that all your people are dear to you. And at this moment, we call on you to intervene for good. May you hold back the hand of those intent on destruction, and open the eyes of political and military leaders to seek the good of the people that you have entrusted to them. V'chitetu charvotam leitim, v'chanitotechem lemazmerot, that they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and spears into pruning hooks, in the words of Isaiah. You who make peace in the high places, make the language of peace and reconciliation reign between Russia and Ukraine, to free the hearts and minds of all people from hatred and animosity. Raise up and strengthen the hand of those who seek peace. Make healing, good life, and peace flourish throughout the world, so that the time will come when lo yisagoy el goy charev, v'lo yilmedu od milchama. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
Oseh shalom Abraham, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, El kol Yisrael ve'imru, imru amen. Oseh shalom Abraham, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, imru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom. Now, Margaret, I have to tell you something about our congregation. We're not very formal, as you have probably discovered already. And so, you're not going to get a very formal introduction, but you are getting a very informal introduction. I'm not stealing thunder from you, okay? No? Okay, just checking, because, you know, I've been known to do that too. I am delighted to welcome onto this bima a friend who we got to know each other when we were sitting on the board of Columbus House a number of years ago. Then she decided to go and pursue all these brilliant other things in life and move around, and was honored and excited to welcome Margaret back as a CEO of Columbus House. And so I know that I can talk for a long time about what an incredible leader you are and how passionate you are about the work, but I don't think that everyone came to listen to me talk tonight. They all came to hear you speak. So without further ado, Margaret Middleton, welcome.
Thank you.
So you will go over there. I will
go right here.
you will get over there, that's right. And the folks at home will get to see you. If you're comfortable, you
So
can.
there's a video here.
There's the camera.
Okay.
There.
May I take this off then? Okay.
You,
I have a
there.
face.
Not just the beak.
Not just a beak. I'm also like chronically informal, so thank you for having me. I have to tell you, I haven't done anything like being in a space like this with other people and listening to their raised voices together. Like I'm kind of overcome right now. So all the things I've prepared feel a little inadequate for just what's beautiful about what you guys come and do here together on Friday night. So thank you for having me. And thank you for the nice introduction, Rabbi. I'll tell you guys, I've never seen the rabbi play guitar. I didn't even know the rabbi knew how to play the guitar. So I did not understand what I was getting into tonight, and what an amazing and pleasant surprise. So,
You know, when they hired me, they had no idea what they were getting into.
No.
Well, that's not quite.
It's like the eyes of my eyes are open. You're like a rock star. I had no idea. But also, I can tell you, sitting there's a lot of harmony happening.
Oh, yeah.
They're with you 100%. So, my name's Margaret Middleton. I'm really honored to be the CEO of Columbus House. I know that there are many supporters of Abraham's tent here and some familiar faces, which is really amazing given how few faces we've seen in the last couple of years. As the rabbi mentioned, prior to this, just to give you a little bit of information about me, prior to this, I was the co-founder of an organization called the Connecticut Veterans Legal Center. I'm a lawyer by training. Donna knows me from that life where I raised money, thanks to Donna, to support veterans recovering from homelessness. And I served on the board of Columbus House. I left for a couple years to be a law professor and came back very gratefully in 2020 to do this work at Columbus House. So I'd really like to make this time useful to this group. I'm imagining there's sort of like a range of knowledge and interest and awareness about homelessness, so I want to do what's useful and good for you. I thought I would just give you like a tiny bit of an update about what's happening right now at the moment at Columbus House and for the state of homelessness. So we're in a pretty, we're in a challenging moment. It's very, very fair to say. We've been in many challenging moments over the last couple of years to the point where we have become comfortable with uncertainty in a way that I didn't think was possible. And that's a funny thing to say, and everything tonight is colored by the thought of the people in Ukraine and like the degree of uncertainty through which they are moving. But we've been dealing with our own level of uncertainty. Right now we're supporting, at the beginning of the pandemic and up until this moment, we've been supporting people out of a hotel in New Haven, the New Haven Village Suites, which you might be familiar with. So we currently have 230 people we're supporting in that hotel. Another 120 are supported across town at the Village Inn. At the New Haven Inn. And so we have an unprecedented number of people inside this winter. Our normal capacity is about half that in the city. And the city of Hamden's running a warming center, which is also full. We have something like 630 people on what we call our by name list, which is the list of people who are experiencing homelessness who we know by name, like we've identified them by name, which is also an unprecedented number. At the end of March, on April 1st, our access to hoteling and the FEMA order that gives us that access ends. So we assume, and again, we're comfortable with uncertainty now, we assume we'll be moving back into the congregate shelter that many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. In which case our capacity will be greatly reduced back to either our normal capacity of 81 or even smaller than that if we have to do distancing. And I like, you're shaking your head a little bit, that's how I feel, like what is going to happen? And we don't exactly know. We're also in a very unusual place, and then I'll move on to other things, but just to like finish the catch up, we're also in this unusual place where we have 170 people who have a housing subsidy in their hand, like we've connected them with the financial resource they need to afford a home, and no unit for them to rent. The rents are going up, the evictions are going up, the landlords are wary. I see so much nodding, and I'm so grateful to y'all for that. I'm so grateful to you for knowing what's going on in this community and how housing instability is affecting people. So that's where we are. We have people who are in the shelter, they've got their subsidy, they are ready to go. They've done all the stuff, and we're looking for units. So if you happen to know any landlords, definitely let me know. There's incredible incentives for landlords right now, many months of rent that they can get as an incentive for taking somebody in. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about the causes and solutions to homelessness, because many of you have experienced Abraham's Tent, which is like a program that's extremely dear to my heart. It was one of my favorite things about serving on the board, was going to the congregations and saying hi and eating dinner when I served on the board. So even though we haven't done it since I've been here in this role, I'm very, very familiar with the program, and I love it very dearly. So since this group has a lot of familiarity, or at least some people do, I thought talking about sort of like kind of wonkier stuff in the background might be useful or interesting to people. So I'm very into sort of participatory experience. Would you guys be willing to throw out things that you think are causes of homelessness? And let me just say, the wronger you are, the more fun we are going to have. We are only going to learn if people throw out things that are like absolutely wrong. So anybody feel brave enough to say, like, what do you think causes homelessness? Poverty, okay, right to it. Schizophrenia. Alcoholism. These are great. You guys are doing awesome.
Some people are shouting online.
All right,
so I'm
shout
going
it out
to-
online,
Mental
people.
illness.
Mental illness. Structural racism. Okay, this crowd is very good.
Job loss.
Very strong. Job loss. Great. Oh my God, you guys are hitting all the high notes.
Oh, we've done our homework.
What's that?
We've done our homework.
I'm pretty impressed. So those are exactly the things that we tend to talk about. So if it's okay with you, what I'd love to do is sort of put some of those things in perspective. So I'm not going to take them in any particular order, but it's fair to say that the one that comes the closest is extreme poverty. So good on you, you went first and you got right to it. And the reason is, and obviously it's more complicated than that because all the other things that you named go into it. But the reality is that we have such extreme wealth disparities, and then on top of that we have not enough housing for everyone. And so it's a very simple supply and demand failure of capitalism that we have more people than we have units that they can afford, and so someone will not have a place to live. And when that happens, the people who aren't going to have a place to live are the people who are least able to compete in our capitalist society or have the least resources. Those are people who experience mental illness. It's people who experience really severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia, but also other illnesses. It's people who have substance use disorders, including alcoholism. And it's people who've experienced the many, many impacts of structural racism, including mass incarceration, which really reduces people's access to housing, and also intergenerational poverty as a result of structural racism that has prevented their families and communities from being able to take care of each other in the way that we would hope. So I think you guys super nailed that. The vast majority of people who come into shelter identify an economic hardship as being the reason that they're there. So there is a number of people who are really experiencing a significant substance use disorder, but it's actually a relatively small number compared to the people who identify job loss, changing family structure, and other sort of economic impact as the reason that they are the reason that they're there. I also just wanted to mention on that idea of joblessness that I think you guys probably know that many people experiencing homelessness have jobs. That's a misconception that a lot of people have. There's people who live in the shelter and get up every morning and go to work. The housing wage in Connecticut, are y'all familiar with these kinds of statistics? Is this like ringing a bell? So if you work minimum wage job in Connecticut, you have to work for 78 hours a week to afford like the typical one-bedroom apartment, and you have to work for 96 hours a week to afford the median two-bedroom apartment. So a single parent with a kid is basically, or with 2 kids, like, forget about it, is really pretty much out of luck. I mean, you really have to turn to some kind of support structure, like Columbus House or like many of our partner agencies to even make it. So it's certainly not a matter of not having a job. You could have 2 jobs and not be able to make it in our housing market. Okay, so that's it about the causes of homelessness, because y'all did amazing. Anything else about that? Like, anybody else like have another insight that they want to share or a question? Please.
Domestic violence.
Yeah, thank you. So that's absolutely a major contributing factor to people experiencing homelessness. And I have less insight into that personally because we, as a service structure, treat it as this entirely different thing, where the shelter structures are different and the resources are different and the laws that govern it are different. So it's absolutely true that that's a hugely driving force. And I think one of the main reasons why the time in someone's life in America that they are most likely to experience homelessness is when they are born. So you are most likely to be homeless when you are an infant in our country, which is like, gets me like, yeah, really gets me where I live. So thank you for that. Any other like thoughts, insights into the causes of homelessness? Please.
Maybe like a chronic or even acute illness that is difficult to pay the bills for.
Absolutely. So a huge percentage of the people who experience homelessness or in shelter at any given time have a disability of one type or another. We tend to think of mental health issues because that's a lot of the physical, like the people that we can see experiencing homelessness often sort of manifest signs of serious mental illness, but so many people have disabilities that prevent them from having stable employment. And I don't know if you guys have checked out what it pays to be on SSDI or SSI lately, but it's not great. I mean, SSD people can kind of make it, but SSI, which is supposed to be the safety net of our country, really, is less than $1,000 a month. I mean, you cannot begin to rent an apartment if that's your source of income. So again, you're in a position where you are coming to us. You really don't have a lot of choice unless you have a wealthy family and you have intergenerational wealth. Please.
Undocumented population, those who don't speak English.
Right, absolutely, and that's even a more challenging group. So for I promised to do this. I promised the rabbi, and I already forgot. For the people watching on TV, in case they weren't able to hear.
Actually, somebody just said, please repeat the answer.
Right, I'm with you. What she said, and thank you for saying that, was the group of people who are undocumented immigrants and then have fewer family resources to rely on and fewer protections under the law. And that's another group where the service of that group is very challenged because so many of the resources that we rely on as agencies are federal funding sources, which are prohibited from being used on behalf of people who are undocumented, not all of them. But that is a challenge, certainly, that we see. So that's the causes of homelessness side, but let's talk about the solutions and feel more optimistic, because the super great news, the super great amazing news is this is like a very, very solvable problem. Unlike a lot of urban, social ills that we confront, this one is like, we know how to do this. I don't know how many of you followed, but in Connecticut it was declared the second state to have ended veteran homelessness in 2012. And the way that happened was that the federal government put a huge amount of money and effort and focus and energy into ending veteran homelessness. And that was thanks to advocates. That was not because the VA believed it was a housing organization and wanted to take on homelessness. It's because advocates were like, homeless veterans on our street is a moral, stain on our country, and it's unacceptable. And that eventually got to the point where the federal government was moved to do something. And the reason I say that is that I know that I'm in a room of advocates. Like, I know that you guys are people who are engaged in your community, and so that is how it is done. Like, that is how it is done, is that we say, like, I don't accept this. I do not accept that people are sleeping outside in the richest state, in the richest country. Don't accept it. And so I hope you will, like the people who push the VA, push your elected leaders to say that it's not acceptable. So the federal government put a tremendous amount of resources in it. The state government really got behind the effort. The service entities, including Columbus House, were incredibly organized. There was an incredible, just a huge amount of data sharing and identification of who was homeless and, figuring out where they could go, and just this mass collective effort, which I was very grateful to watch from my seat on the legal side. And so from that effort, we know that not only can it be done, but it can be done in our state. We're actually a great state for doing this because we have an amazingly kind and warm-hearted population of people who want to see things like the end of homelessness in their state. And we're small enough that we really can identify who's experiencing homelessness and address it. So I'm really excited to think about the day that we end homelessness in our state. I think that will absolutely happen. It's a matter of how much supportive housing we can build. So are people familiar with the idea of permanent supportive housing? It's kind of jargony, a little bit. So one of our main tools in ending homelessness is what's called permanent supportive housing, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You have a housing subsidy that helps you pay for your rent, and then you have support from an entity like Columbus House, and we go in and we provide you with help staying in your place. So you need help connecting with your family because that's what's important to you, we can help you with that. You want help paying your rent, you need to connect with medical care, you need additional documentation, you want to get SSI, you want to get, that's what we're there for, is to help all of those barriers be overcome so that you can stay housed. And it's incredibly effective. And so when people think, and if you are out in the world and people have this mentality that that person cannot stay housed because of their substance use, or they cannot stay housed because of schizophrenia, I'm here to tell you that people with mental illness and people with substance abuse stay housed when given a voucher as long and as regularly as anybody else. And I bet if you think about it, you probably know people in your community with a serious mental health issue or a substance use disorder who live inside. It's absolutely possible. They just have the support of their families. And so that's what we provide. We're the family. So I think that's what I have. I'm curious what you guys think about, we're in Orange. I don't assume everybody lives in Orange. People kind of live all over and are coming in here because the rabbi's amazing. That makes sense to me. So I'm curious, what...
I paid her to say that.
Because we were amazing.
Absolutely.
I like it.
There you go.
Nice. Very nice.
She was on the search committee.
So I'm just curious, I think there's often people have a mentality that this is sort of what can I possibly do about this? This is a group that's, participated in Abraham's Tent, so there are very concrete ways for you to be involved and supportive. But I'm curious about the ways that people understand, our collective ability to address this, short of political action, which is my number one call to action, is to get involved with your local electives. Does everybody here know who represents them? And you got their phone number? Okay, let them know that we talked, and that you care about homelessness. Literally just letting them know that it's an issue you care about matters. That is enough. It's not enough, do more, but it's a lot because it's way, way, way more than the vast majority of people do. And most of what they hear is people's complaints about their own lives. They don't hear enough about the thing I care about is that everybody get inside and that everybody have a place to live. So you'll be doing a lot if you do that.
Are there any bills pending in the state at the moment that we can get behind? There's nothing.
I love you so much. Oh no, there's so many. So the thing that we're pushing really hard is the Reaching Home campaign's agenda.
The what?
It's called the Reaching Home campaign, and it's a alliance of entities that are working to end homelessness together, and a coalition, if you will. And that agenda is all about appropriation. So it's not a bill per se, it's an agenda of things we've taken to the Appropriations Committee to say, please support. So the things include supporting the homeless services sector because we can't afford to pay people, and the service that we provide is trust. And if we can't maintain our staff and then thus maintain the trust of our clients, we can't do our work. So we're seeking support for that. We're seeking many, many millions of dollars to be put into the creation of affordable housing, the supportive services that I described that are part of the permanent supportive housing, the supportive part of it. And then also an eviction prevention program that you guys might have followed that there's a right to counsel now in eviction cases in Connecticut, which is an amazing outcome. Any lawyers in the house? Hello, sir. Amazing. Never thought I would see the day. Everybody in Housing Court is represented, and we're asking that they plug our services into that and say, look, some of the people who are in eviction court are going to get evicted, and some of them are actually going to experience homelessness, and we'd really like to get our hands on them to help them as soon as we can. Like, we want to be in there, in legal aid's office, talking with people as soon as possible, as opposed to waiting until they get evicted and then sort of getting the handoff and having it be an emergency. So those are the primary items on that agenda. So I hope you'll check it out. If you look up Reaching Home campaign agenda, I can send the rabbi the Greater New Haven Regional Alliance's to End Homelessness' legislative agenda. I didn't mean to like be super political, but.
How many supported housing does Columbus House own right now, or are you, how does that work?
So we support,
Repeat the question.
oh, thank you, Rabbi. The question was, how many units of permanent supportive housing does Columbus House support? We support just over 300 people who are in units of permanent supportive housing, and those come in different flavors. So some are buildings that we own or somebody else owns where all the units are subsidized and all of them are supported. So everybody who lives there is sort of part of our program, and we'll have a case manager who has an office there, and that person's whole job is sort of keeping track.
No, we're in Milford, we're involved in.
We'll talk to you later.
You know something special. Gotcha. So that's a type of permanent supportive housing. And then there's also what we call scattered site. There's so much jargon, lingo in this field. It's really amazing. But basically just people can rent an apartment out in the community, but we know where they are and we can go visit with them in their spot. And so they might be anywhere, but it would still be permanent supportive housing.
And Columbus House serves the greater New Haven area, not just the city of New Haven, or is it primarily the city?
So we serve Greater New Haven, Middlesex. We have a very large presence in Middletown also. So we run the warming center in Middletown, the family shelter, and we run both an emergency and a family shelter in Wallingford. So we have a large presence in Middlesex County. And then we do some work in New London and Hartford counties. I know, we're like so big, I know. We had many of you I'm sure know Allison Cunningham, and she's an incredibly...
Margaret, if I may jump with a question. One of the things that you've mentioned before, and I know that we've talked about this before as well, is that there's an assumption that homelessness is an inner city kind of a problem, but it's really not. So can you share a little bit of that with us? Which
Yeah.
I know that some of us know a lot about this, but I thought there was...
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the question. So there is an assumption because people see homelessness and it's visible in cities that it's sort of an urban problem. And the cities do try really hard to address that in their own communities. They absolutely cannot. They don't have the resources. They don't have the tax base. They don't have the money to be the sole entities trying to address that. And a lot of the money that we get is from the state and federal government, but there's no question that homelessness, the people who experience homelessness come from all over the place. So it's not just people who are coming from New Haven or coming from other urban centers who are then experiencing homelessness, but that tends to be where the resources are, so it tends to be where people go. There are, more suburban areas. Milford is one, Hamden is one, that have some resources for people experiencing homelessness. Hamden runs a warming center. Milford has the Bethel Center.
You've got the president of the board there.
I was literally texting Jen like on my way here, only at stoplights. But yes, you know it all, so you know it all. Jen is a hero to me. She's a literal hero to me.
I feel like she may have been the last person to speak in our building before all of this craziness.
Yeah. And so you also know then that our entities across Greater New Haven that do this work are so in love with each other. Like we have a great relationship. We have the same mission. We all want to see the end of homelessness in this community. So I'm sure that Jen extols the idea, and I will also, that people in all the communities in Connecticut have a responsibility to help address this problem, that your communities can, if not set up, not every community needs to have a homeless shelter, but you can support the homeless shelters in the places where they are. And the main thing, and something that'll be really, really big, again, in the legislative agenda, in the legislative session this year, is the question of affordable housing and where it gets built. And that conversation will be really focused on the idea of racial equity and the spreading around of opportunity. and I'm all for that, and I want all the units everywhere all the time. We need so many. The number, I've seen different estimates, but it's in the range of 80,000 affordable units that we lack as a state. So we just don't have time or space to say, not here. Like, nope, it has to be here. It has to be actually everywhere. It has to be everywhere.
Does the 830G regulation help at all?
So I don't,
Repeat the question.
thank you. The question was, does the 830G regulation help at all?
We don't, some of us don't.
Right, so 830G is the current law in the books that requires communities to have some amount of affordable housing development. My understanding is it's not a mechanism that's like entirely enforceable. Like if you followed, for example, the lawsuit against Woodbridge, anybody from Woodbridge? Okay, right, it's lovely over there. Totally into it. If you followed that lawsuit at all, like, right, it's basically a conversation saying it isn't possible to build multifamily housing here. So it's basically impossible to build affordable housing. You guys can correct me if it's.
Isn't true. I mean, they say that, but it's obviously not true.
Say more. Say more.
It's an issue of like part of the reason that they say that is sewer and septic, right?
Yes, sewer and septic.
But sewer and septic is available for the school, for the downtown, for the commercial district, for anywhere they want to build it, they can build it, right? So it's a choice, it's a reason that it's a mechanism, it's a sort of.
I'll take some sewer and septic, and I'll take some portable.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. So for the people watching at home, Woodbridge is in the house, and the comment was that actually Woodbridge has sewer and water when it wants to, and that it's capable of extending it, and if it wanted to extend it for the purposes of building affordable housing and multifamily housing, it absolutely could. And I agree.
We even have parts of town that are accessible by public transport.
Imagine that.
And there's a golf club that we can sell and build affordable housing.
Well,
Right. So it's thrilling to hear you guys, and of course every community is very different. You guys are probably familiar with Spring Glen. Many of you have probably been in Spring Glen, and Spring Glen is a community that has like a really broad range of views about this. Like there's some real YIMBY people, like yes, in my backyard, put all the affordable housing right next to us as close as we can be, like let's tear these houses down and put affordable housing. And then there's a lot of people who are like, what will happen to our property values? The good news is nothing will happen to your property values. It's really economically beneficial to communities to build affordable housing, which is like extremely well documented. So there's good evidence base for it. And if you're curious, you're like, but will this end homelessness? We won't ultimately be able to have, like, we have to have permanent supportive housing to end homelessness because of the special challenges that people have. It's not enough to just have units, but the intense pressure on the housing market is making more people homeless. And we're gonna see that in the next year, we expect. For everybody else, the pandemic's gonna be over, we're gonna take the masks off, and we're gonna start to really see the evictions come in, and the additional stimulus checks are drying up, and we're gonna see more.
so can you give us a little hope?
No! Yeah, I absolutely can. So I'll tell you a story, right? That's what we do. So when I started at this job 2 years ago, so in my previous work, I worked really directly with a lot of people experiencing homelessness. And one of the shames of the pandemic is I haven't met that many of our clients. So I went out one day with one of our outreach workers. So somebody who goes out into the community. We went behind Walmart, and we went to the encampments that you see when you're like on the highway if you're really looking. And we met a gentleman who was living essentially in a baseball field, like in a municipal property. And he was super well known to the town. Like everybody who works in homeless services knew him, and they had tried a lot of different things. They had tried sending him back where he claimed to have come from, and he's a lovely guy. He didn't have a substance use problem, but he did have a psychotic spectrum disorder, which was really obvious when you talk to him. So, supporting him and helping him in a way that he would accept had proven really difficult for many, many years. And what was so exciting is that one of the things that came out of working out of the hotel as opposed to the shelter is that it was a much more welcoming environment for people with psychotic spectrum disorders because it's much less scary. You're not sleeping in a big, gigantic room with tons of other people. You have a roommate, which is like a much more manageable arrangement. So this person who had been so reluctant to engage came in to the hotel, and So I had last seen him like out and about in the world, like manifesting many of the sort of cliched things that we think of when we think of somebody experiencing homelessness. And when I came into his room as part of a tour that we were giving to the Commissioner of the Department of Housing, somebody introduced me to him, and I could not comprehend the person that I was seeing and the change that he had experienced. And I think what people don't understand who haven't spent a lot of time with people who experience homelessness or aren't in social work is that we're not doing this work because we're in it for the charity. We're not there because it's like a charitable feeling. We're there because being around people who are facing extreme obstacles and overcoming them is incredibly inspiring, because that's what we're all trying to do all the time in our own lives, right? Like, we are all trying to overcome our own obstacles. And so when you see people do it against all odds, you're like, okay, yes, we can do this. And so when I saw him, and he's now living in a property that we manage, and he has a case manager who he has a really strong, trusting relationship with, and like, we can do this, you know? Like, it's just not, it's so not outside of our reach. What we need is money and political will. We absolutely know how to do it. It's not a question of like, you know, physical impossibility. So there you go. Like, and that gets me going. I'm like, that's enough. The fact that you can see that happen, you're like, I know how to do this. We can do it. Does that make you feel better?
You know, I have to, first of all, thank you so much for, I've been on the board for a number of years, and every time I walk into either reality or we'll look at a program and I go, we do this also? Like, it's a never ending, and every time I feel like, okay, I'm beginning to get the shapes of this, and then I realize that I still don't. So we say kol hakavod, all the honor to you for not just making it all run, but also remembering and carrying all of this with you. I also am incredibly grateful. This was not timed because we knew it was just a date that worked out. But you know, I've spent the last 48 hours struggling with the fact that I would need to be uplifting if I ever spoke about something, and I don't know quite how to be uplifting. So thank you. You have really made my job tonight so much easier. Thank you for coming and engaging with us. Thank you to Columbus House for the incredible opportunity. I always talk about this, so my folks are tired of hearing this. One of the things that's the most important is, Jewishly speaking, we talk about doing a mitzvah, performing, being commanded to make this world a better place. So performing mitzvahs is really important. But you know, we're always busy and overwhelmed with other stuff. So making it easy for us to do a mitzvah is a really important and honorable job. So all of our organizers who put together Columbus House and various, the Abraham Stand, and all of these other things, giving us an opportunity to say, hey, or serving meals at Bethel, saying, hey, I know I have an hour, I can show up and I can do this. So for helping us as a community engage with these really important things that if we stand on our own as individuals or even as a community, we'll look at this and it is so easy to be overwhelmed by the enormity of the task. So knowing that we have partners who say, we got you, we have something that you can come in and you can do and you can make it a little better, one step at a time. So thank you for being our friend and partner, and thank you for coming to hang out with us on the Friday night. And there is a lot of people who are waving right now. There's jazz hands going all around the screen.
I'm so grateful to y'all, and I'm so grateful for the time and commitment you put into Abraham's Tent over the years. I think it's such a beautiful program, and what I love about it, of course, it creates shelter capacity in the winter, which is critically needed, and thank you for that, but it's so much more than that, as you know. And I'm a huge believer that part of our job at Columbus House isn't just actually getting people into housing, it's breaking the stigmas that keep people from being housed in the first place, and break the stigmas that allow people to think like that this is what people want, or that this is the way it has to be. And so I think Abraham's Tent is a huge part of that. So
beautiful.
Thanks for
so
having
much.
me. Very grateful.
Page 106, we are going to conclude the service
Quickly, Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, l'tet gedula liotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzon, v'lo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim. משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך המלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני
As we turn to page 114, as we conclude our service with the words of Kaddish, we'll remember those whose yard sites occur this coming week. Tonight we remember Amy Berlin, remembered by Dave and Noreen Pokras, Bertha Eichler, grandmother of Karen Schaefer, Ralph Geist, father of Barbara Judd, Ruth Gluck, mother of Larry, Bernard Gross, father of Philip, Benjamin Katz, grandfather of Jane Chernow, Barbara Dins Kurzrock, stepmother of Margaret Rockland, Abraham Matloff, father of Lynn Macer, Barnett Bevauer, grandfather of Phil, Jenny Saxon, mother of Bert, and Esther Stoltzman Post, aunt of Peter Stoltzman. We also remember those who passed away in recent weeks and months: Patty Schwartz, Paulette Marcus, Kenneth Stern, Sheldon Cohen, Sandra Gordon, Lenny Bendorf, Rafael De La Torre, Carla Conford, Israel Back, Peg Buchanan, Gary Teller, Marilyn Cohen, Oliver John Burke, Bernard Koppelman, Irene Zonderman, Stuart Ginsburg, Jonathan Cantor, Rose Mantelmacher, Walter Sofian, Daniel Beck, Elsie Goldberg, Ingrid Stone, Pearl Rosner, Alan Mushin, Sandra Feuerstein, and Phil Solshansky. Is there anyone else here observing the yard sign? I'll just check if there's anyone online. Tom Marville, Haj Suleiman, Hatalin, Paul Farmer, and Orange Fire Marshal Tim Smith. Zecher Tzadik Libracha, may the memory of righteous endure for a blessing, may comfort come to all the mourners as we say the words of Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach reuteh v'yamlik malchuteh, v'chayei chon v'yomei chon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam la'almei almaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם ואמרו amen. Please be seated. Alana, I think you were up.
So thank you so much, Rabbi, for the beautiful service, and for Margaret for joining us tonight. It was so lovely to have you. Thanks to all visitors, or welcome to all visitors joining us, and to everyone at home as well. So tomorrow, Shabbat morning Torah study, to February 26th at 10 a.m. will be online only. Please join the conversation. Our Purim project has launched. Send festive Purim wishes and delicious treats, Mishloch Manot, to fellow TE members just in time for Purim. The deadline is March 7th. You can also make a donation to Columbus Help to help fight homelessness at the same time. Check your email for a personalized link. Contact the office if you have more questions. There's the last call for the diaper drive for the month of February. See the shofar blast for more information and to donate. Save the date for the refugee service, March 11th. which is next week. Connect,
2 weeks.
2 weeks, thank goodness. Okay. Congregations organized for a new
Some of the
Connecticut.
hearts skipped a little bit, right?
Connect, congregations organized for a new Connecticut will be conducting a house meeting on March 15th, and that's to find out what issues you care about and want Connect to take on it in the coming advocacy sessions in the coming years, and you can let me know if you'd like to attend that. The next meeting of Sisterhood is Monday, March 21st, with Dr. Elizabeth Rose talking about Connecticut women making history. Contact Susan Pinsky-Bleeks to RSVP and for more information. Save the date for April 2nd, Sheer Magic concert with Noah Aronson, kicking off the TE at 60 celebration. See the Shofar Blast for more information and to get tickets. All the details of our events and programs are available on the website and in your weekly email, Shofar Blast. Are there any other brief TE-related announcements? Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alana. All right, there we go. I thought we'll close out tonight with this. I used to study war. I used to, I'm sure. Oh, but I don't anymore. 'Cause I'm not who I was before, and I don't need to anymore. I used to raise my sword. I used to, I'm sure. Oh, but I don't anymore. 'Cause I'm not who I was before, so I don't need to anymore. Hoy sagoy, el goy terem, lo ilmedu. I'm sure, oh, but I don't anymore. 'Cause I'm not who I was before, so I don't need to anymore. I used to stand alone. I used to, I'm sure, oh, but I don't anymore. 'Cause I'm not who I was before. eyes. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you. Sa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the blessings of God always surround you. May God give you, all the children of Israel, and all the humankind, God's gift of peace. Today, this Shabbat, and always. And let us say, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So, give each other a fist bump, an elbow bump, something. We still don't have a Kiddush here, but we are so excited to be together. If you are online, wonderful to have you with us. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop the live stream and let people stick around for a few minutes and wish each other Shabbat Shalom. So if you don't have to run, don't run away.